Thanks for slowing down your pace to join me once again at the back of the pack. I'm Joey Metzger, your pseudo race director for this world of running behind. Today, I'm joined by two actual race directors, Mandy and Bill Hansel of Storm Sporting Events. They've created what has quickly become one of the premier trail race and sporting event organizations in Minnesota and the Midwest. We chat about how this whole thing got started, where it's headed, and the magnificent cause that inspired it and gives purpose to it all. We also chat about trail runs and other adventures that they like to do in their spare time. Not that they have any. So, if long, entertaining conversations that promise to delight and inform are not your thing, well, that's fine. If they are, then strap on that orange mud vest, grab some packets of maple syrup, and let's get ready to hit the trail. For my audience, I have, I've been talking about them forever. We've talked about them in every podcast I've done to date. My friends Eric and Mario have been just clamoring for me to get you on. I have Bill and Mandy Hansel. It's Hansel. Is that the right way to pronounce the last name?
Yep.
Wonderful. I have Bill and Mandy Hansel. They are the owners, runners, directors of Storm Sporting Events, correct? We no longer formerly known as the Storm Trail Race Series. Is that true?
Yes. Yep. When we started to expand out of just trail races, we decided we needed a more kind of umbrella name. So that's why we went with something like that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Have you guys heard the pod? Mandy, I know you've heard a couple episodes. You know how I start these things. It's kind of goofy, but I like to ask some one-word questions to break the ice. Mandy will start. Ladies first. We will go with you. One word that describes you as a person. One word. No help from Bill. No help from Bill, I know you're thinking of words. Come on now. No.
Words I can't say on the podcast.
Well, yeah, you can. My rating will be fine. Go ahead.
I would say driven.
Love it. Bill, one word that describes you as Bill, the person.
Determined.
Determined. Very nice. Sometimes these are the same. Sometimes these are not. Mandy, one word that describes you as a runner, a trail runner.
How about tenacious?
Oh, I like it. I've not heard that one yet. Bill, don't steal that one now. What's one word what's one word for you? You can use the same one. One word for you that describes you as Bill the runner.
Resilient.
Resilient. Very nice. I love it. Very good, guys. And then, sometimes I just ask, and I'll ask you guys, why did you decide to be on the pod? I mean, why support me and my 50 or so listeners? What the heck are you thinking?
Oh, well, I listen to the podcast every time you put one up there. So I enjoy listening to your podcast, and I just think you're a great guy. It's fun to have you at our events, and it's just, you're a great guy, and we want to support you.
Yep.
So.
Same.
Just so you know, I did not pay Mandy to say that. That was free of charge. Bill, same?
Same. Yeah, we just appreciate all you do for us. And
yeah.
I kind of use a quote from one of your YouTube videos every time somebody asks me how hard Storm the Park is. I said, well, I know a guy who said it's the second hardest thing since the Grand Canyon. So if that gives you an idea.
Oh, God.
Since then, I can't stop quoting you on that. I'm going to get like a billboard made for the race.
I love it. You guys know that was like my first movie, my first reel. I did Surf the Murph the fall before that, but I call that really my first trail race. And so my eyes were open. I had a tough day. It was muddy. My little camera equipment was falling apart. I was, I had a tough day, but yeah.
You survived.
I survived. Love it. So I always like to hear, and maybe people think it's boring, but I think it's interesting to know, we're all adults and we're doing running and trail running and ultra marathons and adventure racing. I cannot wait to hear about what the hell you guys are doing with that. But I always like to hear, what did you guys do as a youth? Did you do soccer, sports? What was your youth like in terms of athletics and being outside?
Well, I grew up playing softball, so my dad always forced us really to play little league, slow pitch softball. But as I got older, I started to enjoy it, so I played fast pitch all the way through high school. I did swimming for a couple of years, and I was a cheerleader.
There you go. People don't realize that is very athletic. That takes a lot.
Oh, I don't think so. Not ours.
Okay. There you go. Very, very good. Bill, were you a cheerleader? I want to be fair.
No, I wasn't a cheerleader. I wasn't really too much in the sports. I was the chess club, band.
That's what
jazz.
Joey was, too.
Dude! Bonding with you mentally right here. Chess club, band, you're playing all the right notes. What else?
So, but yeah, I really wasn't. I was in track a little bit. But I wasn't really a runner. I did more of the odd stuff like the triple jump and some of the field events. So I really didn't start running till I was later in life.
Okay. Well, let's jump to it, Bill. When did you start running? And then let's transition after that. When did you start trail running? Or unless maybe you trail. Usually with folks, you start running and then you go, oh, I can do this out in nature where it's way better than the roads. But Bill, let's start with you. When did you start running then?
So I started running. It's kind of an interesting story. So it was back, probably 2010-ish, where I signed up to do a charity turkey trot, and I did it as a walk. And I did the 5-mile walk, but I was watching everybody, and I saw the people running, and I was kind of like, I think I could do that. So the next year, and officially 2011, I ran my first 5-mile turkey trot. And for me, I'm kind of a competitive guy. Competitive with myself mainly. It escalated pretty fast. Let's just say I jumped from 5 miles to half marathon to 50 mile within the first 2 years of running. But I was doing still roads. My first 50-mile race was the Door County 50, so that was 6 miles of the 50 is on trail. Everything else is all roads up and down the bluffs of Door County. And it was probably fall of 16 when I moved from the Green Bay area to Milwaukee, met some new running friends. Actually, it was at a road race and somebody introduced me, hey, you might like to hang out with these people. They run trails and they do these crazy long distances like you do. So I started trail running, almost quickly escalated to 100-mile races, and I actually signed up.
How quickly are we talking, Bill? So you're 2 years into it. You're already doing 50-mile road races. You meet some friends who do doing the trail races. How quickly are you trying to do 100?
I was easily converted to the dark side of. I met my friends, Emily and a bunch of other trail runners, and we actually started training in February for the T-Bunk 100. That was in 2016. And before I even finished my first 100-miler, I'd already signed up for my first 200-miler. So I was already committed to 200-miler before I towed the line for my first 100. So I did T-Bunk 100. That one is an interesting race. It's in the Nordic Trails, down in the southern Kettle Moraine Ice Age Trail. It is a little over 9-mile loops. You got to do 11 loops to get your 100 miles. I like looped races. I appreciate them because you don't have to carry as much. You got your aid station, but every loop, there's your car, there's the easy out. So mentally, you got to be pretty tough, pretty resilient, if I may say.
There you go.
And there were some. interesting times through that first 100. Then my second 100 was Zumbro. And that was actually a pretty good race for me. Zumbro was a very tough 100, and I did that in about 24 and a half hours, got first place.
Wait, stop, time out. You did Zumbro, your second 100 race, 24?
That was
Jason Reed, if you're listening, you got 8 hours to cut off of your time. 24 hours you did that?
It was 24 and a half. T-Bunk I actually did in like 22 hours, I think. So got that one, and that I was really happy. Got first place Masters in that one. Then that following August, we went to
Mandy, did you tell him this is the Back of the Pack podcast? Come on, Bill.
Well, you killed me. Mandy and I have different speeds. Let's just put it that way.
All right. Yeah. All right.
But and then I ran my first 200 in 2017 then. And it's just kept getting crazier from there.
Oh, wow. So, and I want to get specifics on a couple of races as we get later in the podcast, but your first 200 was what 200 did you say again, Bill?
Bigfoot 200 out in Washington State.
Oh, God, yes, I know. I've tried to do 20 miles of that course on the backcountry rise.
Yeah.
You did Bigfoot. That was your first 200, and you finished it. 200. You finished it, and you beat Courtney DeWalter, and
I think Courtney was at home sleeping for 2 days before I finished. It took me 95 and a half hours to finish that one.
Wow.
Well within cutoff. I think you get 110 hours to finish that one. But
okay.
I always say my superpower is running slow for long distances. So it's I'm pretty slow, and I shouldn't say slow, but I'm pretty steady. I can cover a lot of distance. That's why I've kind of migrated away. I've really only done 2 marathons in my whole life. I kind of don't like them.
Yeah.
they're too pace driven. I'll do half marathons just because they're short and sweet, but when you start talking marathons, it's a weird distance. I'd rather jump up. But kind of an interesting fact is I went like straight from marathon to 50 mile. It took me, I don't think I ran my first 50K until after my first, it was actually, so I did the Bigfoot 200 in August, and then in October I ran my first 50K. So I gave myself a month of recovery before I ran again. And I actually I placed second in that one. And then my first 100K actually accidentally happened in Midwest States 2 years ago when I dropped from the 100 to the 100K, because they let you do that when you're getting close to the cutoff of going back out. So I ran. It took me until 2023 before I got my first 100K. I've run the distance and beyond.
You're going backwards. You're getting shorter and shorter. You're going to be doing the 100-meter sprints here pretty soon.
Yeah, that's part of training sometimes, but still looking for the bigger races. All right. But I'm about distance and having races that don't finish the same day as stardom. That's usually my goal.
That is wild, Bill. I knew you were quick, but that is something else. It's funny when you're like, I like to run slow for a long time, but you're doing 100 miles in 24 hours, and I'm like, 4 miles. I'm doing the math. 4 miles an hour. Yeah, that's pretty good speed for me. Okay, so I'm going to come back to some specific races later on. Mandy, did you start running before you met Bill, or was that after you met Bill?
No, I started running a couple of years after my son was born. Okay. Had 2 kids, and of course you put some baby weight on. So that was my way to try to shed some pounds after my son was born. So I think I probably started 2004, 2005 or so, something like that. So
okay.
Yeah, quite a while.
And what did that look like at the start? Were you doing 5Ks? Were you just treadmill outside on the roads?
Yeah, roads mainly. I think my first, Fool's 5 up in Lewiston was my first official race, but I think I only ran like the 1 mile, and it was untimed and everything. So that I don't really it's not really an official time, time event, so I don't really count that one. But
Okay.
just a local, the Goodview Gallop here in my hometown, and which is horrible. Like, I've run that one like a couple years ago I ran it. I'm like, why would I ever run this thing? It's on the road, it's hot, it's August, there's no shade whatsoever anywhere on the course, and I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. So I haven't run that one again since then. So, but yeah, I mean, it progressed. I got to, I did a half marathon, and then I wanted to, before my 40th birthday, do a full marathon. So my sister and I did the Wobegon Trail, and I mean, it has trail in its name, but it's really not trail. I mean, it's really just roads and stuff. So I did that, 12 years ago, something like that.
Okay.
So, but I think it was probably 2015 when I started running trails. So, you meet friends in the road running community, but a lot of them are also like Bill, like they also run on the trails. And so I knew they were doing that. There's a group down here in this area, the Southeast Minnesota Trail Runners. And so Alana and Dan that do that kind of took me under their wing, and I went a couple times with them. It's funny because I clearly remember going with them, and I'm thinking, oh, well, okay, we're going to go on the trail. We're going to run, 3 miles. It'll only take an hour. I'll be home by 8 o'clock, right? We drove all the way to Rochester for it. And
yeah.
But then we go to afters, you go with everybody to the afters, and you eat and you drink beer. And it was like, I don't think I got home until like 10:30 at night. I was like,
yeah.
This is interesting. This is not what I was expecting, but yeah. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so then, when did I, 20?
So that's 2017. Your first trail run is 2017. When did you guys meet?
So yeah, we met in 2016. Yeah. So okay. I had actually, it's kind of funny. I had made up a Facebook group for people who were training for Zumbro. And so, Bill and, Emily had come over in 2016 and in 2017 when we did our group run that we would do before the race actually took place, a couple weeks before the race. And so they came over all the way from Milwaukee to run, train. And so I kind of met him there. That was how we first met. And then it was 2018 when I saw him at Afton. He had done the 50 and I'd done the 25 there. And so I saw, yeah.
She does the 25, I do the 50. You can compare the speeds then.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, so I saw him over there, and so I just went over and I talked to him, and then it turned out he was doing Dances with Dirt. Next weekend?
I've heard of that one. Is that one in Iowa? Where is that one at?
Well, Dances with Dirt has like 4 different. The Wisconsin one's at Baraboo near Wisconsin Dells.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So we actually met up there, and went out to supper, and and then he came and visited, and he never left.
He came to Winona and never left.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
When we met, my kids from my first marriage were already older. My son was living in Green Bay, married. My daughter was living on her own in Milwaukee. Mandy's kids were still in high school and college at the time. So, and I was working a job that was remote. My office technically was in Virginia. So my office was where my laptop plugged in. So it was much easier for me to move to Winona, and I never left, like she said.
A lot closer to the trails in Winona than Green Bay, I suppose, too, right?
We joke. She said hi to me at a race, and that was it. Never left. So
that was it.
Here we are.
Wow. Yeah. So trail running brought you together, really. If not for trail running, you would never have met. Wow.
That's correct.
So, what is the first race you run together? Same distance, same race.
Hickson?
Was it? Did we do the 25 there?
Must have.
Yes. Yes, we did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did 25 at Hickson together.
Yes, it was super muddy.
Yes.
Yeah, we did the 25K at Hickson.
Okay.
Together.
All right. Yeah, I've got
He has
questions on. Go ahead. What?
He has to slow way down
Well,
to stay with me.
Did you run together, Bill? Were you like, shit, I can't run this slow. I gotta go.
We like to run together, and I do enjoy, because it's just nice. But there's always, it's kind of funny because, some races we go into it that we're going to run together. And I think I remember it was another Hickson race, and we were lining up, and Mandy looked around and said, just go up to the front. You can get in the podium on this one. She just pushed me up to the front, and we ran separate that day. We were not supposed to. We were supposed to run together, but she scanned the crowd and said, you can run at the front of the pack. So some days it changes plans, but we've also done Goosebumps together.
Chesterwoods
together
too.
Yeah, I mean, we pick and choose races that are. I think Goosebumps is probably the easiest one to run together, because that one is endless loops, so 2.8 miles for 24 hours. Yeah. So we've done that one together. We've both done it separate as well.
Okay. Now, I assume you crew for each other when you do these races. Now, how does that happen? Do you say, "Here's the races I'm doing"? Do you fight over who gets to do what races because the other person has to crew? How does that work when you both are running
honestly,
races?
Joey, I don't run enough races that are long enough to have crew. Honestly, I think that was the only one that you've ever had to crew me at. Yeah. Or when I was training, I did the Rud Run down at Hickson, and he crewed me at that because I was training for Midwest states, but that's really the only one that he's ever had to crew me at. So, and of course, that one ended in DNF. So, that was only a 50K that he ended up crewing me at that one. But no, I really enjoy crewing him. I love helping him and seeing him come in and trying to help him figure things out. And it's fun. I like it. I enjoy it a lot.
There's a reason that my Instagram handle is Delirious Wanderer. She keeps me on the trail. That's about.
Well, when he comes in and he's like an hour ahead of where he's supposed to be, and it's like, what are you doing? You need to slow down. But he can't. He gets in a group and he talks a lot, and so then he keeps going their speed, and it's like, that wasn't the plan. The plan, and it didn't end well. So
you've done some long races. You must have had some races where you're just delirious and hallucinating, right? I had some great hallucination stories from Tony Gillum, who did Cocodona 250 this year. Some of the best I ever heard. 11-inch Kobe Bryant, white Kobe Bryant. I just cannot get that out of my head. That is the greatest. He was texting me today. Really funny. Have you had some hallucinations? What's been some of your best hallucination periods, Bill?
I mean, I think, when you're going that long, that hard, there was, I think even in the first 100, I did a T-bunk. It was funny. It was actually a possum that was on the trail, but I was staring. I was like, why is this silver beach ball rolling in front of me on the trail? And it happened to be a possum running in front of me. But I think the craziest one, it was the most repetitive, I guess, hallucination, was at Bigfoot. Because anybody's done Bigfoot, it's almost 20 plus miles between aid stations. And you're in the mountains, so that could be 8-10 hours or more, right? So, and they're just at the roadside. They're normally like an RV or some sort of camper that is the base. As the race went on, every fallen tree or tree trunk, oh my God, I think I see well, that's weird. That camper has a satellite dish on it to get up to this tree. And like, oh, is that a road up there? No, just a tree laying sideways casting a shadow. And I was like, you just were looking so forward to seeing that camper RV aid station that everything started to look like it. Yeah. But I would say it's an interesting hallucination just because it was a shared hallucination. everybody that year commented on how they saw an old white school bus with a blue stripe. And I mean, like, multiple people hallucinated the same thing. And somebody did the research, and many, many years ago, a bus crashed in the mountains out there. So, hallucination, something else,
What?
I don't know, but...
Time out. What?
Yep.
What?
Serious.
You guys all had, that's not hallucination. That's, I don't know, a vision. That
we
is
were all at the finish line
crazy.
comparing hallucinations, and somebody said, yeah, I saw this school bus out there, and somebody's like, and it was like one of those really old ones, and it had like a blue stripe, and like all of a sudden everybody starts nodding their head, like, cool. I don't know what we ran into, but I'm glad we all made it through.
I don't know what you guys were smoking, but we all smoking the same thing. That's kind of creepy. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Mandy, have you ever done anything long enough where you had hallucinations?
No, I mean, at Zumbro, everything looks like something else, right? So I think at one of the 50s, I was like, why is there a duck there? But it was just a branch with like that. So not really. I mean, I wouldn't really call that a hallucination.
Yeah.
I think winter races I probably had more, just because everything starts to look the same, and it's all white, and things are hanging off a tree. It doesn't look normal, right? You got snow hanging on tree branches, and you just see like heads dangling from trees and stuff.
I wrote down I wanted Arrowhead 135. That's a winter race, right? We're going to talk about that after we talk about the Storm Sporting event stories. But crazy. So, Mandy, the longest, you DNF'd Midwest 100 mile or 100K? What's the longest you've completed?
I've done 50 at Zumbro twice. I did
the 50 miler?
Yeah, 2017 and 2018. I was DFL, Joey, on both of those. So you should be proud of me.
Both of those?
Both of them.
My God. 2 DFLs.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
But Mandy's got to tell the 2018.
Well,
Zumbro
2018 is the blizzard year of Zumbro. And so
God.
Tons of people quit after one loop, because that's a three loops.
Bill, you quit after one loop?
Well, I was doing the 100 that year. Well, I've always done the 100 there. I've never done anything shorter until recently, but I was on loop 3 of the 6 you need for the 100. Mandy's race started at midnight. I'll let you finish the story of how.
Yeah, okay. I mean, of course, John gives a spiel like, it's okay, if you just drop after the first loop, there's no shame in that. If you don't think you can be out there, and so a lot of people dropped after that first loop, but I was not going to drop. So, of course, I went back out. And honestly, the second loop was way better than the first loop. The first loop I had actually was sticking with a friend. He had an injury, and so I was trying to stick with him to help him. And eventually I was like, I have to go, Brian. I can't stick with you, or I'm never going to finish this on time. So I did have to leave him behind. But the second loop was actually much better, because it had gotten colder, and so things had kind of firmed up a little bit, and so it was much better the second loop. I came in the second loop, and my sister and my daughter were crewing me at that one, and they had, we have good news and bad news. Well, your shoes are dry, however, we melted them. So they had put them too close to the heater inside the van, and like melted part of the back heel of one of them. I'm like, I got to put them on. So I put them on, and I went out, because they're like, are you going to go back out again? I said, of course I'm going out back. I'm not going to stop after 2 loops. I'm going to finish this thing, So, yeah.
Are you getting close to the cutoffs, Mandy? Because what is the cutoff for 50 miles? It's 20 hours or something like that?
Midnight start.
You get till 6.
Midnight start till 6 p.m., right?
Yeah, I think you get 18 hours.
So that's 18 hours.
Yeah.
18
so are you
hours.
getting close on that third loop? Or are you like, I got to go?
Oh, yes.
All right. You're chasing the cutoff.
I mean,
right.
Up top on the ridge there, the winds were blowing like 40, 50 mile an hour. And I was so far back behind everybody else, I couldn't see any footprints. Like, I had no idea if anybody was even in front of me, because it had drifted over so much. So I was hoping I was on the trail, but if you got off the trail just like 6 inches and you step down, you would literally go into snow like up to your hip. Like it was crazy. There's video of it. You should find it. It's crazy, you know. So, but yes, I think I finished with. I actually beat my first year's score or time.
Yeah. Your first year, you were within
like 8 minutes or something like that.
You were within 8 minutes.
Oh yeah, it was close. It was very close the first year, and I actually did better the second year. I think I was, I don't know, 20 minutes or something like that from cutoff. But yeah, the first year I did it, I had an injury. I had an IT band injury, so I actually walked the whole second loop because I just wanted to keep moving. And I thought, if I can just get out there and walk the whole loop, and we'll see what happens after that. And I strapped some ice on my leg, and I went out there for the third one. But my last couple of miles were probably my fastest because I knew I was that close to the cutoff. And I was like, I'm not coming this far and not making that cutoff. So I think my last 2 miles were probably, 12. What for me is fast, like 12-minute miles at the end of the 50. I was just booking. I actually dropped my pacer, and I was like, so yeah.
Who was pacing you?
Oh, just an old boyfriend.
Oh, this is pre-Bill.
Yes, this is pre-Bill. Yes,
so you're both at the same race, but you're not together at this point.
No.
We knew of each other at this point, but
no. Yeah.
Okay.
So. But yeah, I was DFL both of those times. So, and yeah, I tried Midwest States 100K. The cutoff was supposed to be at 50K. However, it was more like 35 miles. And at our pace, that's a good hour and 20 minutes or something,
Yep.
So yeah, I did not make the cutoff at that one. So I got yeah. Luckily, Bill was at the aid station because there was nobody there. So.
Wow. So you didn't quit. You got cut.
I got cut. Yes.
Yeah. And Bill was there to hold your hand and tell you it's okay.
I actually ran out on the trail to find her.
Yeah, because after I knew I wasn't going to make the cutoff, I slowed way down and had my ugly cry out on the course so that nobody had to see me cry out there. So, and then I walked it in. So I knew I wasn't going to make it.
Well, I had my first DNF at Zumbro, as you know. I was supposed to only do 2 loops. Come on, just 2 loops, and I couldn't even get through it.
Well, your knee looks pretty nasty there.
It did explode a little bit. I'm kind of like, the worst part about it was when I went to Tria, and I was like, why did this happen? What happened? And I was hoping it was like, this something tore, or this. They're like, I don't know, just randomly exploded. Oh, that's great. I guess I could count on that happening again. I have no idea. So now I wear a bandage on that knee, so if it explodes, I just don't see it, and then out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, if I don't see it, it doesn't hurt.
Right. And if you ignore it, it just goes away. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
So at Zumbro, the one time when you're getting really close to the cutoff, how is John with cutoffs? Is he pretty much a stickler? Like if you're 3 minutes over 18 hours, it's like, nope, you don't even show up on Ultra Sign Up, or is he like,
Yeah, he's not super,
a little lenient when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think there was a couple this last year because our friend Eric did it, and he was pretty close to the cutoff this year. And I know there was I think there was 3 people that came in after him, and they show up on the results. So
I mean, he's not as cool as you guys doing no cutoffs, but that's a nice transition. What's that, Bill?
I said that's reserved for special races, the no cutoffs.
Right. You didn't have no cutoffs at Trinona, probably.
No.
All right. Let's get into it, guys. I just love chatting with you. So, you guys start your own trail race series or race series. It's not just trails. When does that happen, and who came up with it? Was it Bill or Manny? Did you come up with it together? When did you come up with the idea? How did you come up with the idea?
It was 2019 is when we first established it. So we have a friend who... Steve Briggs, who owns Briggs Outdoors, who I swim with at Master Swim. After Master Swim on Saturday mornings, we would go to the coffee shop of one of the other swimmers and hang out there for a while and drink coffee and eat donuts and stuff. And so Bill was out training. I don't remember what you were training
Probably
for.
Zumbro or something.
Maybe.
I was out in like some 25-mile training run.
Yeah.
You were drinking coffee and eating donuts.
And so he was going to meet us there. And so Steve had, said, well, where's Bill? And so we started chatting about what he was training for. And he's like, well, I have these trails out on my farm, and I would really love, if somebody would be able to come out there and explore and run on them and everything. And I said, well, I really always kind of wanted to put together a race, so I think it was the next weekend we went out there. He took us out on a 4x4 and drove us all over on his trails. And I think by the end of that ride, we knew that we were going to have to put together a race there because it was just really cool area. So
yeah, he's got several hundred acres of wooded farmland in the bluffs out here. So similar to all of our other races, very hilly, very challenging. And that was like March, wasn't it?
Yeah,
end of March, beginning of April.
Because you were training for Zumbro.
Because I was training for Zumbro.
Yeah.
And so we did that and decided we were going to hold a race out there. And
well, first we were going to do it as a fat ass. We thought, well, let's just do it as a fat ass and see what happens. And eventually we decided, well, I think this is going to be bigger than that. So that's when we decided we're just going to throw a real race together. And boy, it was quick. We started.
So the beginning race, this is a farm of hidden trails.
For my audience, this is Storm the Farm, correct? This is the first. The first of your races is race. Storm the Farm. Got it. Okay.
The farm had a couple paths that led in the fields and all of this wooded area. There were old logging roads, old deer paths. So Mandy and I went out almost every night after work, and I had a Gaia GPS app on my phone, and we'd start hiking and we'd record and we'd drop little orange pin flags, and then we'd get to that's a cliff, and then we'd backtrack to the next Y, and we chainsawed trees, and we built basically a 10K loop in that between the beginning of April and having the first race in July. And so we threw the whole race together in just a couple months. But to kind of backtrack to the Storm Trail Race series, when, Mandy had always wanted to do races, she kind of had a plan in her head. And when we decided we were going to do this as an actual event, I think it took us about 15 seconds to decide we were going to do this as a nonprofit for mental health. Both of us have children from our marriages that had mental health issues in their youth, and there was no help for them, or people just, the stigma of mental health was such that nobody talked about it, and they didn't know how to really deal with youth compared to adults. So we made it our mission almost immediately to raise money for other nonprofit mental health institutions to do what we could to provide services and education and whatnot. So that was like an instant decision that we both made together, and that was the beginning of the Storm Trail Race series as it started.
Well, and we decided to call it the race series because we knew we wanted to have more than one eventually. We knew it wasn't going to be just a one and done. And so we also knew that we didn't want it to just be running because we were mountain bikers too. And so we knew that we might throw a mountain bike in there, so that's why we didn't say running or anything in the name of it. So,
okay.
We pulled off Storm the Farm. Storm the Farm's first year. Let's just
how many people show up?
Have really good ideas, but they don't come together.
How many people we had?
150-ish.
Yeah.
I think
what?
Yeah.
You're kidding.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
By the time we set it up, we started with Ultra sign up before switching over to Run sign up, but I think I had the website set up by late April, early May. And,
yes. Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of friends and word of mouth, and people just wanted to see what we were doing out there, because Briggs Outdoors is unique, and it remains that way today, is it's private farmland. If you want to run the trails, you come to our race because it's not open to the public. So you get the cool experience of running in this is it. I get to see the trails that Bill and Mandy built, and then nature takes them back over the summer, and we'll show up in July, and we'll go out there with our weed eaters and mowers and make some trails for a new race. So it's kind of a unique venue in that manner that you really don't get to it's not like a state park where you can go run the trails and practice.
Oh,
so
that's one I still have to do yet. So it's what did you say? It's a 10K loop, and you run it multiple times to get to the different distances?
It's a little over 10K. And with this race, Mandy had a goal of helping people become an ultra runner, right? An ultra is just over a marathon. So the loop is, I round a little bit, but it's basically, we do have a 5K distance. We always have a 5K to make sure it's accessible to everybody, right? But it's a 10K, then it becomes a 21K, then we kind of round again to be 30K, and then it ends up being 43K by the end. So there's a lot of decimals in there, but by the very end, you've run 43K, which gets you 27 miles. So there you are.
You call yourself an ultramarathoner.
You're an ultramarathoner.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, you are.
But the race evolved over the years. We've modified the course a little here and there. Year one, we threw together what actually should have been a good idea, but it's July heat. People's brains aren't always working when they're hot and tired. But we had like a multi-loop, and they were shorter loops. They were 5K loops, but there were 3 of them. So you'd run a loop, you'd go to the aid station, and you'd run the next one. It was kind of like running a 3-leaf clover. But then people started leaving and running loops backwards, and then they were doing the same loop.
They didn't know which one they were on.
They didn't know which one they were on. I'm like,
that would be me. That would be me.
Scratch this at what sounded good for volunteers.
I mean, we had stickers on their bibs and everything, and so they were supposed to come in and like mark off the dot that they had done, and so. But that we knew that was not the way to go again.
That was not a sustainable solution. Get more volunteers and put together an actual course. And we like looped courses because part of our whole mission is making races accessible and all abilities. So when you do our races, if in this case it's a 10K loop, you are able to drop into the next distance. So if I finished one loop, I signed up for the 43, I get through my first loop and I'm like, this isn't what I signed up for. You can still be a finisher. You get a medal. You can't win or get a place award because I don't want somebody going out and just running a real hot 10K, even though they're supposed to do the 43 and, win the division. But everybody gets to finish. Everybody gets to get a finisher medal. And, it's just nice to give them that option and not feel like they DNF'd. We don't have DNFs in our race.
Yeah, and just in case somebody melts your shoes in between loops, and you got to drop.
Those July races, they'll melt your shoes for you. If it wasn't for the creek crossing, you might have melted shoes out there.
Yeah. So right away, first storm the farm, no cutoffs, correct?
No cutoffs. Correct.
Well,
Did that scare you a little bit? Did you?
No.
Did you think, what if this dude Joey shows up and it takes him like 1,000 hours?
Well,
Did it scare
I would say this last year was probably that kind of scenario. So we had one woman who it took her 7 hours to do her last loop. So we were there for how many hours?
I think it took her 15 and a half hours to do the 27 miles.
Yeah.
And so I think we proved to everybody no cutoffs means no cutoffs.
We'll be there.
I stormed the park. We had somebody pushing limits. I actually drove out and gave her a headlamp so she could finish the loop safely. And
you guys are the best.
We're committed to no cutoffs.
Yeah,
I love it.
We also do the DFL award. So when you come in DFL, you get an award for that. You get to get the same award that the first place person got because you had the tenacity to stay out there when other people just stopped and gave up and went down to the lower level.
So that's the offset to
that's nice.
I'll make it easy for you to quit, but if you keep pushing on, even if you you're slow, but if you have that tenacity and persistence to keep going, there's rewards for that. You show yourself what you're capable of, and I mean, Storm the Park this year was it was 10 and a half hours, I think, for the 50K. So we're there, and we usually get a few volunteers, and some people come back. So it's not just me and Mandy. There's actual people cheering, and I think people kind of are curious about the whole DFL thing. They like to be part of it, So it's kind of cool to.
And we don't take anything down. Like, the finish line is up, the food is still up. I've been at too many races where I'm that person, and you get to the finish line and there's no food left. They're taking the finish line arch down. I did a half Ironman where they were picking up the cones off of the road already before I had even finished running the race. So I don't want anybody to feel like that. I mean, I've had a sweeper on my ass at Zumbro who said some kind of nasty things to me, and it was like, I don't know why you got to do that. I mean, I'm out here trying, and I'm trying as hard as I can. So how about some little encouragement to get me to the end? So I don't want anybody to feel like that. I want somebody to be able to come out on the trail, give it their best shot, and not feel like they have that weight of, oh my gosh, I got to get done by this time, or I'm going to get swept, or somebody's, I don't want anybody to feel like that.
Don't need that pressure. We'll even wait till the next day to sweep the course if we have to. We don't want somebody on your heels, and so we won't pull flags.
I had one race, Joy, where I was what was it? It was Big Woods.
I was just gonna say it was the one with the ATVs.
Yes, so I had 2 ATVs following right behind me. Oh God! They were picking up the cones
as she passed them.
As I passed them.
That's how close behind she was. She'd pass the cone, and the ATV would come up and pick up the cone, and
I'm trying here. Come on.
Really? You couldn't just wait back at that corner over there until I finished.
But I'll tell you from the other perspective. I know Mandy did not like that. It was pretty upsetting. But seeing her come up the road towards the finish line, it was like she was being escorted. She had a side-by-side next to her, a side-by-side behind her. They had flashing lights. And I'm like, boy, here comes a celebrity. She's got like an escort. And
I did not feel like a celebrity.
She did not feel like a celebrity, but it kind of looked cool from the finish line perspective. But not so cool being that person.
Yeah.
No.
Ben Mead was talking to me about 2024 when he did Cocodona 250, and he had all kinds of issues, if you ever heard his podcast on that. And he said the sweepers there are really nice. Like, when they come across the last person, they'll stop and they'll just hang back a couple of miles and just give you respect. And it's different it's not like that everywhere, hopefully.
Right. So we did the Trans Rockies race 2021. Yeah, we won an entry into that from Cotulla. So we got to go out and run the 6-day Trans Rockies run.
What?
It was the first day the sweepers were on us, the very first day out of 6 days. And it was a little upsetting there too. And eventually they kind of came up and said, do you want us to back off? And I'm like, yes, please do. And so they did. And then I felt really bad because I was kind of like snotty to them, but it was just let me try to do this.
Yeah, I think they were trying to be friendly because they wanted to almost run with us and talk, but that wasn't the plan. So having them drop back, but so Trans Rockies is another, I think we get the tenacity term again because somebody actually had a stress fracture February of that same year. And we were actually the alternates, and the primary team had to drop out because they got an injury. But somebody with an injury thought, hey, let's go run 120 miles instead. So we showed up, and somebody ran on her stress fracture for the first 3 of the 6 days.
Well, we didn't know at that point it was a stress fracture.
Yeah, sure.
Did you finish it?
We did 3 days. We got done with 3 days.
The 3 days?
Yeah. And then we volunteered the rest of the time, which was awesome. It was so much fun. So, it was good.
I've dreamed of that one. I actually, on the treadmill, watched Lucy Bartholomew do the Transalpine on the iFit treadmill. She's got a series where she runs the whole Transalpine.
Yeah.
And I have a dream of doing that. I don't know that I could do that much and that much climbing, but yeah, it looks awesome. Both of those races.
It was,
Didn't they?
It was kind of
did I hear they're stopping it? One of them.
This is going to be the last year. Mm-hmm.
This is the last year. Oh, dang it! That's too bad.
Yeah, but it was cool because we got to go. We got to go up Hope Pass. That was cool. Up and over Hope Pass. So
kind of cool. You have altitude issues.
I don't do well with altitude, so I'm no longer looking at any sort of altitude mountainous events at all. I just can't do it. So.
Yeah, I'm signed up for Mammoth 50K, and that's starts at 8,000, goes to 11, 12. How do you think I'm gonna do? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm gonna go slow, but I have no idea. I'm a little terrified. 50K. 50K. 50K, but you get about 12 hours. They do give you 12 hours. So, and Tim's always like, this is a race for everybody. We've got a generous cutoff. It's challenging. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to hold you to that. We'll see. It's not a no cutoff, but we'll see. It'll be fun. Even if I get pulled off the course, it'll be a blast. I'll enjoy it. Okay, so I want to quickly go back to the Storm sporting event. So you started the first year you do Storm the Farm. Is that the only race you do that first year?
No,
when did the other races come about?
So then we decided, because like Mandy said, we are also mountain bikers. So that fall, we put together Storm the Bluffs. Its first venue was in Winona at Holzinger Trails, but we've since moved it to a different trail system. That one was a trail run, mountain bike race, or an off-road duathlon. So,
Okay.
Bill and Mandy don't just do a race. We make sure there's at least 5 events going on at any given point in time.
Yeah, because one race is way too simple. That's, no.
You gotta
make them do separate loops and check off things and play chess in between loops. Yeah, there you go.
What do we have? A 5K, 17K, 17K mountain bike.
Weird.
There were weird distances because we had to fit it into the course, into the trail system that they had.
So that was in November the first year.
First year, we did.
So the first year you do 2 races. You do Storm the Farm, and you develop and do Storm the Bluffs, and that includes mountain bikes and running.
Yep. Okay.
And then the next year, right away, do you in April do Storm the Park?
Well, we attempted Storm the Park, but this
2020
crazy little thing called COVID happened.
Crazy little thing called COVID. Yes.
Yeah. So we like the rest of the world didn't know what was going to happen. So we delayed the April race.
Well, you have to step back. So we had actually didn't we had marked the court, or is that the second time when we rescheduled it? When we had
rescheduled it.
Okay, so we're like, well, they told us 2 weeks or whatever it was to flatten the curve. What was it? I don't even remember. 6 weeks to flatten the curve. So, I mean, immediately we're going to reschedule this thing. So we rescheduled it out to somewhere in May.
Yep.
And
it'll be fine.
So it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So we actually got out and we marked the course and everything. And then I think it was 2 days before that was when they decided people couldn't be in groups of more than 25 or something like that. Or I don't know. I can't remember. There was all these guidelines we had to go up against with sporting events. So there was it was written out how many people and at what intervals and things like that. So we ended up doing that one virtually. Yep. We left the flags out there, and then we just told people, we're going to leave them out there. If you guys want to go do it, and, send us your results or whatever. So, that was the first year of that one.
Yeah. And then, the COVID year was kind of funky. We tried multiple things with virtual races. I partnered with a company. We tried almost here's the route, you have to run it and record it and then submit it up, and then we could do results based off of how fast you did your, everybody did the same route, and but that was and there were certain points it was using your phone's GPS, so to prove you did it, you had to at least make certain points on the course. And that one we didn't bring back because that was that was challenging to manage.
Okay.
And once the COVID restrictions kind of lifted, I think, did we have Storm the Bluffs in 2020 in December? No, we didn't. Yeah,
probably 2021.
What's that?
Probably was 2021 when you came back with Storm of the Park.
Yeah, so Storm the Park, that year was very interesting because that was you could do 25 people at a time. Yeah. So we figured out a way to do waves of 25 people with 30-minute gaps in between. It was still, that one we did as like a free will donation, and to make it fun, we had everybody design their own bibs. So we didn't issue bibs. Everybody got to draw their own bibs or pictures or whatever they wanted to do. And that one actually is close to the course that is there today. We started and really liked that course. And it went well. I mean, for what it was a good event. Mm-hmm. And then as COVID restrictions started to lift, our other races started to come back together with Storm the Farm again. But then the fourth race of this series, Storm the Day, came about because we wanted to give people that timed race experience. Yeah. And a lot of people don't even understand what that is. You could kind of talk about that in the Southeast.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm really loving that. I did the fans race with David Shannon a couple weekends ago, and I'm like, okay, I want to sign up for 24 hours next year. Yeah. It's just so fun because there again, you can stop at your car and be done. Yep. If your shoes melt or whatever happens, it starts snowing, you can be done. Or you can just keep pushing yourself. I love it.
Right. Yeah, because we had experienced Goosebumps down in where is it? Down near La Crosse, and that's a 24-hour one, and we really, really enjoyed it. It took a while for my friend Christine had tried to get me to do it for a few years, and I thought, why would I want to just run around in a circle, 2-mile circle, over and over and over? That sounds really boring. So eventually she got me down there with mashed potatoes in the middle of the night is what she said. There's mashed potatoes. They're amazing at 2:00 in the morning. You got to come have them. Okay. So we finally went and did it, and we're like, that was awesome. Like,
that's fun.
You got to talk to people because people are going around, and different people, because you'd be on the loop with different people at different times, and you could crawl in your car and take a nap, and so we just really kind of fell in love with that kind of a format. And so we decided to have the Storm the Day out, and we decided to do it as, sunrise to sunset. We didn't want to do an overnight thing. We wanted to make it a little bit more accessible for people to kind of experience it in the first place. I think going to a 24-hour right away is kind of a big step. So we thought, well, we'll give them 12 hours or so, 11, 12 hours. And so we also offer, you can do it as an individual. You could also do it as a relay. And so the Southeast Minnesota Trail Runners put together a team. And none of them had really done like a looped format, fixed time event. And so they brought all sorts of stuff, like they brought their bikes, they brought their kayaks, they brought all this kind of stuff. And they're like, well, when it's not our turn, we're going to go kayak, and it turned out like they didn't do any of that stuff. Like they never touched any of that stuff because they had so much fun.
No, let's go.
Yeah, they just wanted to be around, where the party was, and everybody was cheering everybody on, and people learn, they're getting that experience of what that kind of a format is, and I think more and more people, as they see it and hear about it, and people explain what it is, it's grown. I mean, it's not huge. I mean, it's 100 people or so.
Just under 100, but I think it's also unique in the fact that it usually runs about 11 and a half hours. That's October sunrise to sunset is in that neighborhood. And it caters to everybody, right? So we have fast people that come out and they say, I'm going to get, 65 miles, or relay teams that are going to get 80 miles. And then you get a family that comes out, and we added a family relay team this year so that if one of your members is under 18 and you can be in a different relay division, there were 3 adults and a 5-year-old, and they got 30 miles. And, it's like everybody gets to do what they can. And, some people have come out and said, I've never run a marathon. I wonder how long it's going to take me. Well, you got 11 and a half hours. See what it's like before you sign up. Can you run for 4 hours, 6 hours? Do you need breaks? So it's just kind of a safe.
Took me about 8 hours at your guys' event to get to 26 miles, but I got there.
Yeah. I mean, it's a safe place to do what you can do, right? And I think it's also caters to the slow and steady, just because not every fast person can keep going for 11 and a half hours. You go out blazing fast and 3 loops in, you're like, now what? I still got, 8 hours left on the clock. Yeah. And this person's just chugging along and they still get 30, 40 miles. And the fast people are tired out already. So, it's kind of it's an interesting format that it really levels the playing field for sure.
And we like to have the clock kind of counting down. And, people come in and they're like, oh, I think, I'm gonna do one more and then I'm gonna be done. And they come back in, they're like, oh, I have 4 hours left. Like, I can do another one, and then so they go out and they do another one, and then it's, well, I still have 3 hours. I can do one more, so it's just cool to watch people just really, exceed what they ever thought they could do. We had a young man who came out. He was gonna do a half marathon, and he ended up doing like a 50K or something like that. So it's really fun to watch. Just people just exceed what they ever thought they could do.
And I'm an instigator. I am one to point out that your last lap only took you 45 minutes, and there's still 4 hours in the clock. What are you doing, sitting around? And but they also. We do something kind of fun at the end of that one because it is a 2.5 mile loop. And when it gets within the last half hour and you're that late in the day, the chances of a full loop are slim unless you're a pretty fit, fast person. So we shorten the loop. It's a half mile out and back. So 1/4 mile out, turn around and come back. So for the last 30 minutes, you're doing these back and forths. Well, that becomes super exciting, and all the people start coming and cheering, and Instigator Bill really comes out because there's like 6 minutes left. You can do another half mile. There's 3 minutes left. I've sent people out with 1.5 minutes left on the clock just because they're silly enough to listen to me. But it's just so. It doesn't just like kind of fizzle out. It gets more exciting as the day goes on.
The end, I think, is the most fun part of the whole day. So
when I did fans, wasn't able to stay. I had an appointment that day. I was out to do Storm of the Day, so I had to leave after about 8.5 hours. But when I did fans, the 6 hour, at the 6 hour, there's a 6 hour, 12 hour, 24. They did that at the end of the 6 hour where they ran a shorter loop. And you're right. That path was lined with people, and they were screaming and cheering. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. I like it. Mm-hmm. So
they do something similar. They do something similar at Goosebumps, and that's what made us kind of want to keep it exciting at the end. And
Bill was at 102 miles or something, and he starts. I don't even know where he got the energy, but he's sprinting back and forth after 23 and a half hours.
There's this whole mental thing about running and fatigue, and when you have cheering people. So I finished, I was about 102, almost 103 miles in with a half hour left. I ended the day with 107. So I was like, every lap back and forth in that half mile, I was throwing gear off. I mean, by the end, I was just as light as I could be, sprinting as fast as I could. It's kind of, it's motivational to have all those people just cheering you on. And there's a gear you don't know you have until you try, I guess. And
I've tried. I don't have that gear, Bill.
I don't either.
It's good for you. I checked all my gears. I don't have that one, but
some people have that gear. Maybe I was just fortunate. But
I want to ask you guys about. So the next race you had is Trinona. Is that in 2022? What year does that one come about?
So in 2023, we were approached by the previous owners. They were looking to get out. They actually bought it and then found out she was pregnant right after that. And so now they've got 2 little kids. And so they're just in really a different time of their life. He's the mayor of Winona. And so they're just really busy. And so they decided they were going to get out. And they knew, I mean, Scott had come out and had helped at the farm. And he's seen our events. And they knew that we would be able to do a good job. Trinona is a little bit of a treasure to me because I had done every single one of them since it started. So it's here in Winona. So it started in 2009, and I did all 13 of them up until 2023. Because I did the year we shadowed the owners. I still went out and I did the sprint one and then came back and helped again. So I decided that can't happen again.
We don't do that. We don't participate in our own races anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't work well.
So explain to my listeners, I kind of know what Trinona is. Explain what the format is and the distances and all of that. And if you've changed it from the original or if it's the same.
Yeah, so it's a triathlon, and we have both an adult and a kids triathlon. So the kids triathlon happens over at the Winona YMCA. They swim in the pool, and they take their bike out on the bike path, and then they do a run portion. So it's very similar to an adult triathlon, except they do it in the swim is in the pool. So, and there's only, the distances are all based on their ages, 5 to 6, whatever. So
your 6-year-old swims 1 lap, 25 yards. Your 15-year-old does 10 laps, so it's age appropriate distancing.
They're not doing 70.3. So
no. No. So that's on Saturday. And then the adult event is on Sunday. And we have, of course, a bazillion different offerings in this as well. So we have a sprint distance. We have a duathlon, which is run, bike, run. We have an aqua bike, which is just the swim and the bike part, so they don't have to run. We have an Olympic distance, which is the long one.
Okay.
We have relays. You can all do a relay in both the sprint and the Olympic distances. So we've got a lot of stuff going on all at one time as well. And so, so I mean, the sprint is...
Sprint's a quarter mile swim, 11-mile bike, and a 5K. The Olympic is a 0.93 mile swim, 25-mile bike ride, and a 10K.
Okay.
The aqua bikes do the same thing, just without the run portion, and the duathlon does the sprint, run, and bike ride. So similar courses for everybody. Just I'm a land lover. I don't swim. I sink. So I'm a duathlete type person.
Okay.
Other people like to swim and bike. So it's just we can't have no cutoffs. Because we have to close city streets, but we can make it accessible by offering anything that you're
different distances
capable of doing. Yeah. And the relay teams they always have a blast. You get one runner, one swimmer, one biker, and you have a 3-person party going on over there, and it's fun to see.
We do offer a beginner, friends, and family division. So that's kind of like a kind of in line with our mission, but so that's non-competitive and anybody can be in that division. So like Bill and I could enter it and we could participate in it together. So we could start in the same wave because typically in triathlon, different ages and different, male and female, different ages are in different waves. So a male and a female would not be in the same wave.
Yeah,
so
even though we're close in age, we would be probably 5 waves, 10 waves apart.
So this beginner, friends, and family allows people to be in the same division together so that they can kind of feel comfortable participating with someone that they're, had been training with, or, a mom, a sister, a brother, whatever.
Parent-child, that I think we had a couple of those, dad and daughter type combos, and, it makes it more family-friendly.
Yeah. And then we also offer what's called swim angels. And so swim angels are part of that master swim group that I'm in. They take care of that, but swim angels will, you can request a swim angel. So if you're not really comfortable in the water, you can ask for a swim angel, and then that swim angel, if you want them to, will like almost swim the whole course with you by your side so that they can encourage you. They have a buoy with them. So if you need to take a rest, you can stop and hold on to their buoy and take a little bit of a break. As long as they don't forward you on the course. So that gives another option, if you're a little bit, because usually I would say the swim is the scariest part of a triathlon.
For the race directors too.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, Bill. I'm thinking Bill and I. That's what we could do. We could swim angel.
Oh yeah, that's it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Then I could
I
do
could
it.
walk on the bottom of the lake and look up and make sure nobody's coming down to join me.
I'm a very good swimmer, but swimming still, it's not my deal. No. Not my thing.
Yeah.
Took all the swimming lessons I could as a kid. I was very good at it, but I don't like it. So is that your guys' biggest event? Like, how many people are showing up for that? I gotta imagine it is, but am I wrong?
Well, biggest event so far this year, Trinona. We had almost 520 people this year, up from 450 last year.
Well, not all of them show.
Yeah,
we always get your.
We had an interesting year with the storms. We had some delays and other things, but 520 that registered. 500 is probably a good number for Trinona, but it's with all the different events and stuff. It's kind of cool to see everybody together in the transition area. All the, there's 500 plus bikes parked in one little square spot and all these people moving around. And we could probably go as high as 600 before we'd have to cap it based on the amount of space that we have to work with and the time allotted to us for road closures and other stuff. It's a game of meeting the city halfway on how long can we have streets closed versus some are open, some are closed. So not be a complete inconvenience to the city.
Yeah. Is it logistically that's got to be the hardest one to put on in terms of volunteers and numbers and city and all that? Yes,
last year after we put it on, I said I am never ever going to ever say that putting on a trail race is hard after we put on Trinona last year. Especially it was our first year. You have to meet all the sponsors, you have to meet all the vendors, so we were on Zoom call after Zoom call after Zoom call, weekends, afternoons, after work. I mean, it was a lot of work last year. It wasn't quite as bad this year because we had the connections and whatnot. But it takes 200 and some odd volunteers to put this event on. And so trying to get volunteers is I begged for volunteers for 4 months for this thing, and then it's so condensed. The first wave goes off at 7 a.m. Transition opens so people can go in there and put their stuff in there at 5 a.m. And by noon, the whole thing is done. Everybody's gone. We're cleaning up and everything, but everything just has to work. Like every cog in the wheel has to spin just the right way. Everybody needs to be in the spot they're supposed to be in, just to make sure that everything works the way it's supposed to. And it's really hard as race directors to just give away that control that we have. On trail races, we have control over everything, basically. We can go out and see if the volunteers are at that aid station because it's not very far away, We have people on an aid station way up on Garvin Heights. That's it's 10 miles away. And the road's closed to get up there. So I have to just believe that my volunteers are going to show up and be at that aid station. And if they're not, I can't do anything about it.
Well, and the bike course is a great example of that because the year we shadowed, I helped set up the bike course. And you want to talk about the compressed timeline like Mandy was talking about. So we can't close the main street till the state patrol shows up till about 6:30. So that means we can't mark the bike course. But the first swimmers go in the water at 7 a.m. So we're marking the course as they're in the swim. And I'm hearing on the radio that the first swimmers are out and on their bikes, and we're only halfway through marking the bike route. Basically they come, by the time we finish, they're halfway through their bike route zipping past us. It's like, so now I don't do that anymore. We trust the team lead for that we meet, we talk, but I give them a pickup truck full of signs, arrows, cones, and
here you go.
The route, and go like this, that nobody gets lost, and that he marks everything clear. And
I don't know how many times I asked, is there a garbage can there? Is there a garbage can there? Well, triathletes are not quite the same as trail runners when it comes to leaving stuff behind. We get lots of cups all over the place at these aid stations during triathlons because they all just throw them on the ground and
they don't leave it like they found it.
No. So I just want to make sure that there's an opportunity at least for them to try to put it in a garbage can. And so it's and with the rain delay this year, we actually ended up having to shorten the bike route. So the Olympic people didn't get to do the long course. They had to do the short course this year. Okay. And so then the logistics of trying to get that rest of the course, that those people don't have to be there anymore. You got to get word to all of those people that they're done, that they don't have to do anything anymore. And it was a rough morning to start. But then once it all started going, the skies got blue and sunny, and it was a great morning. Yeah. So
we have a plan for it, the triathlon for sure. I mean, all of our races we kind of have a plan, but this is documented, and all the athletes knew that, if we delay to this point, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do 50 people and then wait 5 minutes, keep gaps. If we have to delay till 8:00, we can't have people on the road past 10:30, 11, so nobody does the 25-mile. If we delay longer, everybody becomes a sprint athlete. And
so you're changing the course on the fly as you go here too.
So we're
making
changing.
My brain hurt. I have nightmares. Stop.
So
I never do that.
Be a little more challenging, but
way more challenging.
To kind of go back to is this our biggest race? And I said so far this year. So Bill has a kind of weakness for people who say, well, I can't do this race anymore, and maybe it's probably just not going to happen. So the Chisago Lakes Triathlon, this is year 19 for it, and the race director was retiring. She reached out through a mutual friend last fall, and in November we decided to take over the Chisago Lakes Triathlon, which is actually a half iron distance, an Olympic distance.
Is that the 70.3 half iron?
Yes, it is.
Oh, God.
And that one, again, we haven't done it. This is our first year, but the typical number is between 700 and 1,000 people. We're almost to 500 with 6 weeks to go for that race. So that one will be the biggest race that we've ever put together.
How did you even have time to talk to me? You should go. Get ready to start working on what are you doing?
That one's a little bit different too, because it's 2.5 hours away from us.
Right.
So it's not like Whitewater where we can go out the week before and mark the course and it's okay because nobody's going to screw with the flags. Or we can go out to Briggs Outdoors and mark like a month in advance if we really wanted to. Where this is, we're going to hop in the car. So it's the weekend after Storm the Farm. So Storm the Farm is like the 19th, and
this is the 26th. And
Chisago is the next weekend.
It's got a kids event too. So Saturday kids, Sunday adult.
So we'll get in the car. We'll do Storm the Farm Saturday. We'll pack everything up and head to Chisago on Wednesday after Storm the Farm, and be there until Monday, putting on those 2 triathlons. And I mean, talk about condensed. It's going to be we got to do a lot of stuff in 3 or 4 days at that point because we can't do it before that. So
no. Do you guys have jobs?
We do.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Right? So,
how in the world are you doing this? I don't think people understand. I mean, that's crazy.
We love it. I mean, we do it for our cause, and we do it because we like. I mean, for me, I tend to hang out, especially at the trail races at the finish line. Triathlon, I can't get there, but just to see everybody's expressions in the finish and stuff. And I just love the kids' events. That to me, those are so precious to see this little 6-year-old come flying through like she won the Olympics or something. I mean, it's just so fun. But
can I just say thank you? I know you guys get thanked a lot, but I mean, Eric was mentioning this to me too. He's like, you got to get those guys on. They're just awesome. Thank you for what you're doing. I know it's a lot of work, but it's people like you that really they create these special memories for us and special goals. And so thanks. I don't know why you do it, but thank you.
Well, we are very excited because I just posted today. We just awarded our first $5,000 scholarship from the monies that we earned from the Trinona. We put together a scholarship fund, and so we're giving $5,000 scholarship to a student who's pursuing a career in like the youth mental health care. So this is kind of the long game is to try to get more providers in mental health, because the trail running money kind of does the daily programs and supplies and things like that for programs. But then even though we have they have a new child and parent interactive therapy room from funds that we donated from Storm the Farm. But now that those families have to wait 6 months because there's no provider to help them in that room. So our long game is to try to get these providers to stick around this area. So we limited it to colleges that are in our area in hopes that the student will then stick around this area and become a provider in this area.
And for my listeners, I'm going to have links to all your guys' stuff if people want to go to your events. Can they just donate too? Is there a link to just donate to some of these causes directly if they can't get out to an event?
Yeah, you can donate. And we have an interesting, a format of when you register for one of our races, we take 30% of your registration fee, and that goes into our donation. We use the rest of the money to cover expenses for the race. And then if there is money left, we'll put that into the donation fund. I mean, we run at almost 2% administrative. It's as little as we can take off the top, and everything goes into the funding. So, But when you register, you can add more donations. There's a link to just donate directly to the fund. And we always give when you're registering, it's you can make a comment on behalf of somebody. We like to hear people's stories too of why this is important to them as well. We care deeply about everybody and mental health, and trying to hear people's stories just makes it that much more special.
Love it, guys. I love it. Thank you. I want to get to a couple other topics. I know we're at 8:00 and I don't want to keep you guys all night, and I've got stuff to do with Ricky. I got to do fluids. We gotta take care of the dog. But so those are the races you have now. You're adding Chisago Triathlon.
Chisago Lakes Triathlon. Yeah.
Boy, that's hard to say. And then you're also adding another race. You're doing Chester Woods next year as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one.
Right?
That was our first experience of what it's going to be like with Chisago, because Chester Woods is the weekend before Trinona. So we spent Saturday and Sunday working with Tom O'Leary, the current race director, kind of picking up tips and tricks. And we've run the race before, so we're familiar. We spent the weekend before Trinona helping run the Chester Woods race. And so we got a taste of what it's going to be like to do back-to-back race director duties.
That one's pretty low key. The Southeast Minnesota Trail Runners are hugely involved in that, and so they put they mark the whole course, they sweep the whole course. So, but the vibe is very similar to all of our trail races. He has music, and we usually have a live band and beer at the end, and it's a big party at the end. So it just really fit in with everything else. So. Not sure if we're going to rename it. Everyone's like, oh, what's it going to be called now? So we haven't
Storm
really
the
decided.
Chester.
Well, somebody said Storm the Woods, so I don't know. We'll have to see.
We'll see if it sticks.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's been around for, what did Tom say? I think 2003 or something like that. So it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I want to talk about two things. Tell me about adventure races. I saw, Mandy, you had posted on Instagram and Facebook. You guys did an adventure race this year, and I know I've heard that word before, and I kind of understand it. First, tell me what an adventure race is, and then tell me about the ones you've done, including the one you did this year.
Sure. So an adventure race involves orienteering with compass and maps. Running, I mean, you can run. We don't run while we're doing that, but some people do. Biking, usually mountain biking or, gravel roads, those kinds of things. And then usually some sort of paddling, so canoeing. If you're a team, if you're single, you would go in a kayak. So you don't know where the actual headquarters of the race is going to be till about a week before the race. So we're told it's going to be within 30 miles of Cable, Wisconsin. So that's all you know until about the week before. And so then they say, okay, well, here's the headquarters. Here's the whole schedule when you have to show up. So you show up at headquarters at your scheduled time, and they hand over all of the maps and all of the information to you. And then you usually have maybe about an hour or so to go through all of those maps, determine. Some of them you get to do whatever order you want to do. So you could go and bike first, and then you could hike or orienteer. Usually the paddle is kind of, well, not always, but sometimes it's like it has to be at this point. But so some of them, like we did one last summer called Rib Mountain. It was an 18 hour race. And so it started at like 10 o'clock at night. So they bussed us all the way. I mean, it was probably a 25-minute bus ride to where the race starts. So you're in the dark. That one started with orienteering. So you're orienteering in the dark with a compass. Luckily, Bill's really good with the compass because I would never be able to get us anywhere. But so that one, and then you'll walk or run or whatever to the next area. So that one, you then got into the canoe. So we got into a canoe at like midnight. On a river that we've never been on, in the dark.
Never paddled in the dark.
No.
Water in the dark. Is there anything scarier? There's not.
Oh, no. Yes, there is. Wait, there is. So we start going, and then some fog starts forming. And then I said to Bill, I'm like, oh, wouldn't that be terrible if it was complete fog and we couldn't see anything? And then that's what happened.
Oh my God. You wished it into existence, Mandy.
Yes.
You spoke it into existence.
Mm-hmm. And then, my headlamp is like a reflective type thing. So if it senses something coming back at it, it dims itself. So that's what my headlamp was doing. So I'm up in the front of the canoe trying to determine which side of the river we should be on. And I can't see anything. And the fog's terrible. And this river, there was the Plover River, and there was trees down. Like there's a tree here, there's a tree here. So you'd have to go all the way around this one. And then you'd have to figure out, oh crap, we got to go all the way around this one. We must have had to portage our canoe at least a dozen times because there was trees all the way across the river. And so you basically had to pick up your canoe and try to figure out a way to get to the other side. That one was rough. So then eventually we got to the biking section. So it was just when we tipped our canoe also along the way.
If you want an experience, tip your canoe at 2 a.m. and 40-degree temperatures and
what
enjoy
in the
life.
world?
It was pretty cool. It was turned the canoe right side up, and the canoe was below water for a little while, but
yeah,
we managed.
So we were completely soaked. It was cold, and I thought Bill was going to be hypothermic, but we just needed to get to the sun because we knew to sunrise it was going to be 80 degrees the next day. So that was our goal. Was just we got to get to the sunrise.
That was a chant that
Yes,
every time it seemed kind of hopeless. Like
get to the
sunrise, which Mandy knows. For me, that's like I'm a solar powered person.
Mm-hmm.
She's seen me at long races, and when the sun comes up, there's a different bill than the one that you see at 2 a.m. So her goal is to get me to sunrise because I would perk back up.
Yeah. So then we got to the bike section of that one, and there was supposed to be cutoffs on this event. Yeah. And we were well past these cutoffs. I would say we were an hour and a half past the cutoff. Okay. I said, well, do we get to keep going? And they're like, what do you mean? Yeah, of course you get to keep going. I'm like,
we didn't argue.
Okay, all right. So we changed our clothes, got on our bikes, and finished the race off on the bikes. So, nice. But there's different times. You can do a 6-hour. So we're doing one at the end of this month. That's a 6-hour event, and so that one has maybe 4 miles on foot, 10 or 15 miles on the bike, and maybe 3 miles in the paddle. But, you get these 18-hour, they go up to, there's one in Caledonia, I think that's 48 hours, So, these things can be really long. But we're doing a 6-hour one. That's the stubborn...
The Star Mule.
Mule.
Yeah.
So there's 1-800-Adventures, right? 180 Adventures, something like that. Okay. So we do quite a few of their events, but so we're doing the 6-hour one later this month.
These are all in the Midwest?
Yeah, those are mostly in Wisconsin. There's a big contingency in Wisconsin, so yeah.
But it's unique for us. I'm an IT guy. We are around technology and doing races, so the fact that you're not allowed you can't have a GPS. If you just want to track Strava, you got to turn your watch on, throw it in your backpack. You can't use anything. It's your map and your compass reading skills.
I guess we should explain along the way, you're going to checkpoints is what you're doing. I guess that's a big part of it, right? So on this map.
Otherwise, they don't know you got there, right? You got to go to a checkpoint.
Right. So you go to these checkpoints. There's a little finger thing that you put your thing in, and it reads that you were at
USB
that.
Reader.
Yeah. And so you get a point for each one of these checkpoints that you get to. Some of them sometimes are, they're further away, so they're worth more points. But you're gonna take a lot of time to get there, So, and then there's a cut, so you get to 6 hours. You're supposed to be back at 6 hours. Every minute that you are late past that 6 hours, you then lose a checkpoint. So the last one we did in April, which is probably the one that you saw on Instagram, we were actually 25 minutes late or something like that getting back because we misjudged kind of how long it was going to take. The wind was bad. So, we ended up with negative points.
Which is common in adventure racing. But it's all a game of being flexible because you don't have to get every point. It's get as many points as you can and beat the clock back. So say this race had 37 checkpoints and I think we were around 24-ish. Mm-hmm. Had we timed it better and got back, it's still 24 points of the 37. But, there's sometimes you have to just say, okay, we're aborting this because we can't find this checkpoint and we can't waste any more time. Let's go find one, so we change plans, modify the bike route and say, oh, we got to go a different way than we planned. And, so it's a lot of thinking on your feet, but without anything to help you but this map and compass that you're carrying around. And I shouldn't say map and compass, it's multiple maps because they're large maps. Most races have 4 to 5 maps. I think the 18-hour one had like 15 maps. So as you cross from one map to the other, you got to get yourself reacclimated to where you're at. So you make the race up as you go. And I don't know. we kind
I
of
can
we love
barely make it on a loop course that's marked and in daylight.
I mean, my
think I'd
favorite part
stand
is
a
we do it
chance.
together.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is one thing that we both do well together because I can read a compass and a topographical map, and Mandy can see color.
Yeah,
So-
because Bill's colorblind, and so when he
Okay.
gets us around to where the checkpoint should be, and then I scan to find the because it's usually like a white and orange like thing hanging in the tree, so he can't see it. So it's my job is to find that orange and white.
My goal is I get Mandy within about 50 yards of where it should be, and she's the eyes that spot
And then
it.
she takes it from there. It's like you're driving the golf ball and she's putting it in the
right,
Exactly.
once you get it close, she's putting it in.
right.
That's right.
Got it.
Yeah.
I love it. I wanted to. I can't leave without asking you, Bill, about the Arrowhead 135 race. I've seen you've attempted that a few times. Explain the race to my listeners. I kind of know what it is, but explain what it is, and then explain your attempts at it and why the hell you're doing something like that in the winter.
So, winter ultras like Arrowhead 135 or Tuscobia or St. Croix 40, they are a different type of trail race. They're winter sports, and you're responsible for yourself. So in Arrowhead 135, you can either do it on foot, bike, or ski, all dependent on the snow conditions. I always do it on foot, and when you're on foot, you're pulling a sled behind you. And that sled, you have to have everything you need to survive because the first checkpoint's 38 miles away. So you leave. I should mention this is in International Falls, Minnesota, by the way.
In January.
In January. Last week of January, International Falls, the ice box of the world.
For my listeners in Ireland and the Czech Republic, International Falls is basically Canada. It's probably about 1,000 degrees Celsius below zero. It's crazy cold.
Well, so you're not probably lying because what was it, 3 years ago, the temperature before wind chill at race start was negative 25. And it, cold, it doesn't get, once it's cold, it doesn't get any colder. You can't. But in your sled, you have a negative 20 degree sleeping bag. You have all the food you need. You have the water.
There's a list of required stuff.
Yeah, there's all this required gear that you have to have, and it's all required because you have to be safe. But the challenge is weight. My sled usually weighs about 40 pounds because I put my water inside of thermoses, and then I wrap those thermoses in insulated material to try to keep the water from freezing. Your food weighs down, and you can do whatever you want. It's a timed, you've got a time limit of is it 60 hours, I think? Yeah, but so you try to find foods. I say just throw something in your deep freezer and try to take a bite. If you can, that's good winter running food. If not, you probably don't want it. I mean, there's guys with ice cream bars strapped to the back of their bike, and they're not going to melt.
I was going to say, ice cream
degrees,
bars.
But it's more of about solitude and survival. Arrowhead's purposely kept small so that people spread out. You're spending a couple days in the wilderness in the winter, fending for yourself. Aid stations are 38 miles, 70 miles, 110 miles, and then you finish at 135.
Oh my God. It
Lots
sounds
can
like
go
a prison
wrong.
in Siberia, Bill, not a race. Sounds like punishment.
And you can't.
Oh,
this
no.
one you can't crew.
No.
Yeah,
he's
Mandy,
on his own.
so are you terrified when he does this? Are you
I
worried?
go up. Well, I go up there with him, and I'll go. You can't crew him, and you can't give him any help. But I'll stand on the side of the road as he crosses over the road, and just so I know he's alive and that he's still moving. And hi, and then he's gone. So
God.
yeah, that's about all I can do. So sometimes it's rough to see him out there in the shape that he gets in sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And I mean, it's anything can go wrong, and I mean, it is dangerous. I can't underplay that frostbite happens. People have hypothermia. It's
And the thing is, you can't get rescued, right? So there's snowmobiles out there, but the snowmobiles are going up and down these, 50 miles worth of trails. So you might not see a snowmobile for 8 hours. So they go and they get off the trail at night. So they come by and they say, we're going in for the night. How are you doing? Are you going to keep going? Because if you keep going, you're on your own. And that's why you have all of that gear, the backpack, the bivvy, all of that stuff, because you won't see another snowmobile for 8 hours and you're on your own. So you got to keep yourself alive out there. Otherwise, you got to go get on that snowmobile at that time and get rescued right then and there.
And I mean, it's just kind of like an evolution of, I've done 100-mile races, I've done 200-mile races, and it's like, what's the next challenge? So that's why I started doing winter races. And there's a lot of prep, and I've had to take the last couple years off because of health problems. But, Mandy's got a video of me. I think it was that year, it was so cold. It was like -30, and she's videoing me in the backyard because I'm setting up to sleep in the backyard for a little bit while it's cold, practicing zipping zippers with big mittens on and
frozen fingers,
walking around the house with my sled, trying different things. And like, okay, now I got to see if I can get into my sleeping bag, into my bivvy with the big mittens on and not freeze, and see how successful it is. It's you don't take those races very lightly, but it's kind of
you're making it sound really fun, Bill. That sounds like a really good time.
So the reason we got into it on the foot was because
because of Mandy.
It was because of me, kind of, because we did St. Croix 40 the first year they had it, and we did it on bike. And so we finished that one. It was great. The weather was perfect. Conditions were great, and we finished that one. And we pull up to the finish line, and somebody comes out, and they're like, "Oh, are you Bill Hansel?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, well, you won the polk." I said, "Oh, well, because that's the sled. It's the sled.
Ski polk is what they call the sled.
Is the sled that goes behind him." And I said, "Oh, well, I guess you're doing this on foot next year."
Yeah, she committed me before I even got off my bike to doing it the next year, which I did. And then it escalated to Scobia 80, which escalated to Arrowhead. And I have not finished, full disclosure, I still haven't finished Arrowhead. It is a very tough race. There are people who, what's Bill Bradley at? 13 tries and still hasn't finished. Sometimes you just can gut it out. Sometimes you have to know your limits, and there's a balance between knowing your limits and going too far. And
is that the one that John Storkamp has crushed? He usually does pretty well.
He's a machine out there for sure.
Oh my god!
Yeah, he's probably finished as many as Bill Bradley is not finished. So,
wow.
But no, it's just that evolution of challenge for me. I like. Got it. I like races you're not guaranteed to finish.
I get it. Goal. I get it. I understand. I can see what you're saying. It's just nuts. It's just dumb.
I decided winter ultra's not for me. I did the second St. Croix 40 on my bike, and I swore I had frostbite on my toes, and I couldn't feel my fingers, and I dropped halfway. So that was my first DNF. So, that's when I decided it's not for me.
That's great. Are you doing it? Are you going to do it again, Bill? What's the plan?
I'm not sure.
I tried it enough to go, I tried it, or are you going to go back?
I'm not sure. We'll see what this year holds. I had some lung issues the last couple years, and I'm still working my way back, and it's kind of a reset. I'm back to running 5Ks, and this year's been pretty busy as a race director, so no kidding. Things to settle down a little bit to get back into ultra mode, but
okay.
We'll see. I don't know what the future holds. I still want to do some big races, but
okay. All right. Well, it's getting late. I gotta my last thing for you guys before I do my closing stuff is and maybe it's individually, maybe it's together. What's a dream race that maybe it's something you've already done, but what's your dream race that you either have done or have not yet done and want to do? And Mandy, we'll start with you. What's a dream race for you?
I'm searching for that dream race. I'm not a hot weather runner, so I'm searching for something that's either spring or fall, probably about 100K, not in elevation. So I don't know. I've been looking for what the next one will be. I don't know yet.
All right. Bill, is it the Iditarod or what's
Well,
the...
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Only slightly laughed at that. Oh God.
Yeah. That has been the goal. I would say so I'm a weird extreme runner. I can run in the real hot and the real cold, opposite of Mandy. If it's 60 degrees, I don't know what to do. I can't handle in between temperatures. It needs to be 90 degrees or it needs to be negative 30. I don't do well in between. So, when Badwater is on the list of, I want to go push myself in the heat. But Iditarod is also on the opposite end of the spectrum of temperatures.
Wow.
On the list. So,
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
I'll let him do all those. He can do all the crazy races. I'll just do the regular ones.
All right.
I've got some course records in 98 degree humid race courses, so I'm built for the heat.
All right. Great. Last thing before we get into, I have to ask 5 pieces of gear. Before I do that, last question. What's a hobby you like to do that has nothing to do with running or trail racing or race directing? What's a hobby you like to do outside of all of this stuff?
Have you not heard our schedule? I mean,
we have time for hobbies. I guess being a race director is a hobby.
if I can't be about running or racing.
Oh, okay. Well, I would say I have a brand new, or well, not brand new. I have a 8-month-old grandbaby, and so my hobby is to spend time with my grandson.
There you go. There you go. The 6 minutes a year you have free time. Yeah. That's what you spend.
Well, we carve time out once a week, and we go over to my daughter's house and have supper with them. So
that's great.
Make sure we do that.
Great. Bill, hobby outside of running and doing crazy adventures?
And
it's fine. You have no time, so I get it.
It still ties into running, but I don't even know it's a hobby, but I like figuring things out. I'm like Mandy jokes, but I'm like a spreadsheet guy. And it doesn't matter how big or small the thing is. I've got a spreadsheet for it, and I'm a to-do list guy. So it doesn't matter what we're doing. I'll figure out some weird, crazy automated spreadsheet to calculate out every possible outcome of what we're going to do. And
oh yes, we have a spreadsheet, like at these races, it's all scheduled out. Like he's got a regular pace, a fast pace, a slow pace. I have to put in like when he comes into the aid station, at what time he comes in. So then it all recalculates like when he'll be at the next aid station, and then I do the same thing at the next.
Tell him how accurate my spreadsheet is.
Oh, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I've built in fatigue algorithms, and it will start to add extra time as time goes on, and figures out my previous averages. But I'm within about 5 minutes of when I should be showing up. So if she starts worrying, it's for a good reason. Something really went off the rails.
Okay. Oh, that's great. All right. Last thing for you guys. Give me 5 pieces of gear that you love to have with you when you're doing a run or a trail run, or it can be doing an adventure race. Some 5 favorite pieces of gear.
Well, let's see. I would say I have to wear exoskin socks. Otherwise, I've struggled a lot with blistering on my feet, and so that's the only thing that I've found that allows me to run longer distances without getting blisters. So,
all right.
And then of course, I guess my shoes would be, I do either ultras or topos. So my shoes. Of course, I gotta have a watch. Gotta have your Coros. I got a Coros. So
Coros. Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I'm also a poles person.
What kind of poles?
I have Black Diamond, yeah, Z,
Okay.
whatever, yeah. But
Okay.
my hands swell up, and so that helps me when I carry those. My hands don't
Okay.
swell, so that's
All
kind
right.
of a preventative thing for
Got
me.
That's 4. We got one more.
Well, of course, I'd have to have a pack. So, as you can see back here, we have like every orange mud pack you could ever want.
Oh, God. Wow.
And so,
Okay.
Some sort of orange mud pack. Yeah.
Orange mud pack. Very good. Bill?
Um,
We know ice cream bars
Yeah.
is one, right?
Probably a little lower maintenance,
Pretty.
but I think
What did you just call me high maintenance?
my high maintenance wife here.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
No, I should say I'm more flexible. But I do, I got Mandy hooked on the Kuros watch because I bought it because it was the watch at the time that could last for a 100-mile race and not die. And I've been with Kuros ever since because the battery's unbelievable. Not advertising, not paid sponsor.
So Kuros watch, that's number 1 for
watch
you?
That's a requirement because it can last as long as me.
I'm Kuros too, guys.
All right.
I like it.
I always have an orange mud pack of some flavor.
Okay.
Actually, when I first started running, I got into orange mud packs because they have the 2 water bottles. So you get a water and an electrolyte mix, and kind of looks like a cool rocket pack when you're wearing it. So, you feel fast. But I have packs with bladders. It's all distance dependent. But I always have a pack because I'm a pack rat. I like to have all kinds of stuff on me, even though I'm never going to use it. I'm also a buff guy.
Okay.
If there's a required piece of gear, it's probably the next 3 things is a buff around my neck, a buff around my head, and one around my wrist. So
Got it.
I like the neck one because it keeps me from getting sunburned. You can pull it up over your face if there's bugs or dust. One over my head, catch sweat, and then the one on my wrist is either a backup or it's a handy snot rag. But so there's buffs, and then nutrition-wise, I am a huge maple syrup fan. I drink maple syrup as my main calorie source. I use I actually get Embark brand syrup. They put electrolytes in it, but any syrup will do because that's like 300 plus calories in 3 ounces. So, and the cool part about maple syrup is it doesn't freeze. It stays liquid even in negative 30 degrees.
There you go.
Just don't drink it when it's negative 30 degrees because you will frostbite your tongue. Safety tip for maple syrup drinkers.
Wow. Good thing to know next time we're all out, doing a 135-mile race, Bill, when it's 30 below, because we're all going to do that.
You want an energy boost? Drink pure maple syrup. I tell you, it's a game changer.
Is that 4? That's 4, right?
4.
You got another one?
I don't know. I rotate
shoes. Well, how about your shoes? What do you wear for shoes? Do you care?
I'm back and forth between ultras and topos. I mainly in ultras. I'm a 0 drop guy. I don't like a heel lift. So, it depends on the race. I'll do the real light superiors for faster races and the more cushioning Olympus for longer races. But yeah, ultra shoe guy. Great.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate this. This is fun. Thanks for everything you're doing, too, with the causes for your races. And I'll be sure to have links to everything in the show notes. And all of my huge audience that I have can click on your stuff and donate or try one of your events. I highly recommend them. So I've been dying to have you guys on here. I really appreciate you coming on and look forward to seeing you at an event in the future.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was fun.
My pleasure. Well, that was more fun and certainly less challenging than climbing your way out of the Grand Canyon. Seriously, though, what a great conversation. I'll have links to their organization and their races in the show notes. And check out my YouTube channel. Look for the films Snow Day and Making Hay. They were both filmed at Bill and Mandy's events. That's it for this time. Take care of yourselves and cheers. Keep running, keep walking, keep moving. Don't worry about the cutoffs. Bill and Mandy certainly don't. Be tenacious, be resilient in your effort. You will succeed, you will be celebrated, and you will cross that finish line.